All right, let's dive into a concept that might just completely change how you look at your love life. We're talking about romantic shields. It's a really powerful way to understand all those invisible things happening in our connections, our dating lives, you name it. So let's get into it.
So, have you ever been there? You're talking to someone, the vibe is amazing, everything is clicking, and then bam, it just stops. It feels like you've slammed right into an invisible wall, and you have no idea why. Well, guess what? You probably have. And today we're going to talk about exactly what that wall is.
So what are these romantic shields we're talking about? The easiest way to think about them is as these invisible layers of protection we all have around our personal space, around our hearts. They're the barriers, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small, that someone has to get through to really truly get close to us.
Okay, let's break it down. A romantic shield is basically any barrier, and you might not even know it's there, that's designed to protect you from getting hurt. It could be made of your fears, your old baggage that you project onto new people, or even just snap judgments you make. Now, they have a job to do, to keep you safe, but they can also be the very thing that's keeping love out. And this is where things get really interesting. When you meet someone new, it's not just you connecting with them. It's your set of shields interacting with their set of shields. So imagine a potential partner sends out little feelers. A text, an invitation to hang out, a vulnerable question. Those little probes can either smack right into one of your shields and bounce off, or, if your shields are a bit lower, they might just find a way through to the real you.
But here's a super important point. Not all shields are bad. Not at all. In fact, some of them are incredibly healthy and necessary. The real trick is learning how to tell the difference between the shields that are serving you and, well, the ones that are sabotaging you.
And they really fall into two big categories. On one hand, you've got mature shields. Think of these as intentional, healthy boundaries. They're conscious choices you make for a very good reason. But on the other hand, you have immature shields. These are more like knee-jerk reactions, totally unconscious stuff, usually coming from past pain. And they're the ones that keep you isolated when you don't even realize it's happening.
So what does a healthy, mature shield actually look like? Well, imagine you're all in on launching a new business. You're pouring your heart and soul into it. Deciding to say, you know what, I just don't have the bandwidth to date right now isn't self-sabotage. It's a smart, conscious choice to protect your focus and energy for that mission. See? That's a shield with a purpose.
Now, on the flip side, an immature shield is all about reaction. It's when you meet someone new, and before they've even had a real chance, you're already plastering your last bad relationship all over them. You're just assuming they'll be exactly like your ex. That shield feels like it's protecting you, but what it's really doing is stopping a potentially wonderful person from ever getting to know the real you.
Okay, so this brings us to the most important part of this whole thing, turning that lens around and looking at ourselves. How do we start to see the invisible walls that we might be putting up? It really all starts with getting honest with yourself.
And you can actually figure this out with a pretty simple three-step audit. First, just try to identify your protective habits. Don't judge them, just make a list. I tend to do this when. Second, analyze them. How strong is this shield? Is it like a giant fortress wall or more like a little picket fence? Is it always up? And finally, you gotta label it. Be real with yourself. Is this a conscious choice that's helping you, or is it an old automatic pattern that's actually sabotaging you?
All right, let's flip the script. What do you do when you're the one trying to get to know someone and you keep hitting their shields? I mean, it can be so frustrating when you're trying to connect with a person who just seems completely walled off.
And you can usually spot these shields in action. It might be that person who's just too busy all the time, or who can only give you this tiny 2-hour window of availability once a week. It can also look like them avoiding deep emotional chats or even physical intimacy. These are all signs that their protective field is up and running.
And here is the secret weapon for dealing with someone else's shields. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot break through them with force. Pushing harder just makes the wall thicker. The better way? Get curious, gently acknowledging what you're seeing. Something as simple as, hey, I feel like you're a bit guarded. Is everything okay? That invites connection. It doesn't force a defense.
And you know what? Whether you're working on your own shields or someone else's, the solution is pretty much always the same. You have to create safety. And that means being consistent, being honest. It means having fun, bringing a sense of ease and pleasure into your time together. And seriously, never ever underestimate the power of a little humor to just dissolve a huge wall of tension.
So all this work brings us to the real goal here. And it's not about becoming some totally defenseless person who's open to everything. That would be a bad idea. The real objective is actually something way more powerful.
Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to be shieldless. That just leaves you wide open and vulnerable. The real goal is to become a conscious guardian of your own heart. It's about switching from those unconscious automatic reactions to making mature, deliberate choices about who you let in, when you let them in, and how you protect your own peace and energy.
So, I'll leave you at this to think about. Take a good, hard look at your own walls. Which ones are your greatest allies, the ones protecting your focus and your sanity? And which ones are just old habits, left over from the past, that are holding you back from the very connection you say you want? Answering that question, that is the key to mastering your own love life. Hope this gives you a new way to look at things.